So
I
this is great.
know. Hello, happy Wednesday, everyone. We're live. We're running a little bit late, but it's all good. There's a lot going on, we know, in the country right now. So I do want to at least acknowledge that we want to send our thoughts, good vibes, everything to everybody in Milton's path in Florida.
100%. That's
Yes.
just crazy what is coming down on those guys right now.
Yeah, so I definitely want to acknowledge that. But I just want to go and get into it because 30 minutes always seems to go by so quickly. So what's really cool about my guest is Dana Georgiou. She and I have been connected on LinkedIn for quite some time. And this is going to be our very first actual conversation. We have messaged a lot in the DMs. We have finally graduated over to texting on the phone. It's all a process, right? It's like dating. It's like the next step. And this is the natural next step. Like just have a conversation live in front of everyone for the first time. So welcome.
Yep, I love that though.
How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for asking. Luckily, I'm in Texas right now and not experiencing any hurricane, vibes. It cooled off a little bit. Finally, we've been, in the 90s and the hundreds since, I don't know, February. I don't know. It's been hot. It's just hot.
I know. I'm in Colorado. I just got in yesterday and I'll be here. Hey, Bill. And I'll be in here for a week. And it's supposed to be a high of like 80 today in Fort Collins. Yeah. That's why I have like a sleeveless. Yeah, the weather's been kind of out of control. But so you're in Texas and you got to attend, which I have like major FOMO, the IMB Summit last week. And you got to meet a ton of people that you hadn't met in person. So how was that?
I made a post, right? I was totally fangirling.
Yeah.
Like it's something that I normally don't have happen to me. And I've been, I even mentioned I've been pretty lucky. Like I've met some pretty cool, famous people at like different things, but for whatever reason, and so I got to meet Brian in person and Greg Shear, which, those guys are just doing such really cool stuff in our space and advocating in really wonderful ways. And I think even like, not to kind of roll on into our topic about mentoring, they're mentoring from a platform that really hasn't been used that way before. And I just find that so cool that people are tapping into them really as mentoring in this space without having the traditional idea around what mentoring is. So and Kyle Draper, like, dude, I was beside myself. It was awesome.
Yeah, Kyle and I are basically like connected for life because we rode in a driverless car to the airport together. And I told him, I'm like, you and I are bonded because to have that experience, you have to really trust the person that you're in the car with just to have that. And so I trusted him because he had done it 2 days before. He had taken one. And then he's like, let's take it with me to the airport. I was like, all right. I'm like, here we go. And he and I had already met a couple times. But all those guys, they are great. And you're right. There is kind of this new way of like mentoring, as online, where you have thought leaders, you have experts in spaces, but I feel like there is now the ability to kind of really talk about your experience and what you're kind of essentially going through. And that is kind of mentoring people around you because they're like, wait, I can relate to that. So like, I would love to, so I want to bring this up, and I do like to kind of bring things up that tend to be a little bit like, ooh.
Okay, good.
But you did a post. So you put it out there. You had put out how you were looking for, you were the open to work. You were in a place where you needed, and you're still looking for opportunities, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
I am.
okay.
I definitely am. I'm consulting. I'm doing a lot of consulting, but I'm potentially looking for, the right something, right company, right role, right everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that, like you were kind of surprised that when you were trying to reach out to people or really trying to kind of utilize your network, because that's what we do when we're in that place, that you're a little bit disappointed in the fact that you weren't getting I guess, the attention or maybe just the response that you thought you would. And I feel like it's always those times, like when someone like goes through a divorce or a move, or it's like those big occasions that you kind of, I guess, take inventory, if you will. And
Yeah. 100%.
I wanted to touch upon that a little bit because I feel like that's important. If we're talking about mentoring, it's like your experience.
Yeah, it was really surprising in so many ways. Melissa Colton posted something today that really resonated with me,
Mm.
post traumatic growth. And I
Oh,
really feel like I've been going through a post traumatic growth period. So, there's good and bad to that. And so you're exactly right, right? When you're, first of all, a person that isn't normally prone to reaching out for help, right? To really just kind of being real transparent and real open and say, hey, I really need your help in whatever way that is. You're used to being the person that someone comes to for help.
mm-hmm.
So sometimes that makes you really uncomfortable. So to do that, with some really key people that you've felt like you've had either a great working relationship with or otherwise, to get, and when I say like no response, I mean, like,
Like
no
crickets.
response, right? Like, not even a courtesy of, hey, I got your message. I'm thinking about you, wishing, like, um, so yeah, it's been challenging, for sure, and disappointing in so many ways.
Yeah, and it's hard to like vocalize that and let people know because there are going to be people that know that you reached out to them and they know that they didn't respond, and it's kind of like you're calling people out. And so, that could be a little bit like, ooh, but at the same time, I think it needs to be a learning lesson for everyone to also even understand that, like, you're a person, you're someone that was actually reaching out for help and you didn't receive it. Like, it's okay to share how you feel and be transparent
Yeah.
about it and kind of vulnerable.
Yeah. And, I didn't, and it is a vulnerable place to be. And that was a
Yeah,
really vulnerable post, for me to put out. And I intentionally didn't, call anyone specific out because I wouldn't do that. But if it hit
right.
home with someone, well, that's on you. And I think really the other part of it for me was a number of the people that I did reach out to had really big presentations around their culture and what they expected in their culture and this transparency and this, always reaching out a helping hand, like all of these things that they say that they have built their environments around.
Yeah.
But then the leaders of those companies aren't actually following through, or maybe the messaging just isn't resonating all the way up to the top. So that part
Yeah.
was a little disheartening as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? If we
But
have to have these type of conversations so that hopefully people do better and we can, kind of learn from it as well. I mean, I myself am kind of learning how to even navigate the workplace too, right? Like it's interesting how I take a lot of my personal and just how things that trigger me personally, like within my family or just in situations, I find that it kind of crosses over into business as well, with just like maybe certain colleagues, they might say something or do something that triggers me in a way where I'm like, oh dear. And so I feel like all of it is a process for everyone. And so like when it comes to mentorship, it's nice to know that I do have certain people that I can go to and really just vocalize anything and know that it's going to be a safe space and it's going to be a space that like it's going to stay there too. And then kind of talk me off the ledge because I can get a little bit over like I can overthink a lot, right? So that's why I feel like it is important to be able to have those people in our lives that we are able to bounce things off of and just kind of be like, hey, what would you do in this situation? Because I'm
Yeah.
struggling. So do you have mentors do you have people like that you can reach out to and be like, yo, like I need some help?
Yeah, I've done the yo call line here a couple of times. I have been really, really lucky, blessed. I mean, whatever word that you want to use, Raquel, right?
Yeah.
To have a couple of really key people that were very early on in my career. One of them actually is, completely retired, but I was so lucky to get to work with a woman named Robin Alcock.
Mm.
And I reported directly to her. It really didn't start out as a mentoring thing. It just kind of developed into this. And then ultimately we actually created a mentoring program because it was so dynamic and so impactful for me. I'm like, Robin, we got to figure out how we can share this through the organization. And I haven't worked for Robin now in 18 years, but if there's some big decision I'm making professionally, or even, there's been personal components, to it as well. And I think when you're a really great mentor, then all facets of that person become important to you, right? The things that are impacting them personally, which then can impact them professionally, right? Whether it's good or bad. And Robin was just so, she was the epitome of, what I try to be as a mentor now. I've been very, very lucky to have, taken a couple of people and, helped grow their careers and build them up. I'm really passionate about that, especially for women in our
Yes,
space.
you are. I have to say that you have been someone that has been incredibly supportive. And even when I was doing my Rock the Boat youth empowerment in the event, like you donated, like you definitely were someone that like stood out in that way because I didn't know you personally. And I was like, wow, this woman really is like empowering other women, because if she's doing that for me and I'm essentially a stranger, like I can only imagine how she is for people that are her friends and are in her like space and her inner circle. And it said a lot about you and your character and who you are. And it was very impressive. I have to share that with you.
Thank you.
Else.
I appreciate that. I've struggled, through the years of kind of taking some compliments like that and just stopping with a thank you. But I do thank you very much.
I mean, you even offered your home to me when I went to Houston. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like anytime, and you have a place to stay and all of these things. And I thought, wow, like that is just really cool that this woman like trusts that I'm also not some crazy person.
Yeah, well, I'm also very lucky to have a very big bear of a man for a husband. So if anything were to go down,
okay, so that I'd have to like deal with him. Noted.
Well, there's really good reasons behind that, because I think very early on in my career, especially in the financial industry, right, it has been, I think we can all say it, very male dominated for a very, very long time. And I think there's shifts that have been happening in great ways. And by certainly no measure has it, reversed itself. But very early on, it was very, very difficult, for other women not to view you either in a competitive perspective or hold something back, or even, be dismissive or go over. And I just felt like there was a better way of doing it. And so that's really, it has been.
Okay, I think you froze on me for a second.
I really just felt like, oh, there we go. Yeah. We're back. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just heard girl and then it's I'm like, girl, what?
Yeah, no, I was just like, girl, it's just been a process, right? And I really felt like, because I had experienced this, that I didn't want anyone else to feel that way. I mean, we just have, women are amazing human beings, right? And we have so much to offer in so many ways, from a creative perspective, from, a balancing perspective. I mean, most women I know can virtually do it all, right? And so Yeah. Why wouldn't we want to, support each other in every way that we possibly can, whether, we're, connected in just a social media form, which is where you and I started out. But, you reached out to me, and now we're doing this, and, it'll keep growing from there, and, friendships come from that. And I just think it's powerful. And so I just don't know really any other way to be, I guess, at this point in my career. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like, we all talk about how as we get older, it's so difficult to change. And, it's like a lot of people are like, this is me, take it or leave it. Right. But I feel like I am constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think you are who you are at the core. Right. But then you still are kind of evolving and adapting. But yeah, like you're someone at the core that, yeah, you're who you are, and you don't know anything other than that. Like the same thing with me is that I, at the core, just love helping people. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, just let me help you in any way. And I have no agenda. I don't expect anything in return, because there's something about that really does fulfill me and just like makes me so happy. Like it really, at the heart of it all, like, I wish I could do that, all around the world every day, every single second of the day. But, the reality is just like, but the people like that, I feel like no matter what happens and no matter how much they change and evolve, that, yeah, they're always going to be that person. And so it's beautiful that
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
you are.
I think you're exactly right. At your core, your values, whatever is
Yeah.
held there in your core, is never going to change. But you're right. I think we all have to evolve. And I mean, listen, if you've been in the mortgage business for longer than 5 minutes, and I've been there for what seems like 150 years at this point, and all good, you're constantly, evolving and adapting. I mean, I started my career, over in conventional, and I've gone through subprime. I've, been spending the last couple of handfuls now in business purpose lending. It's all different and growing.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it so much, right? Is because you get to learn something new every single day. And so I think if you take on that philosophy just overall about life, then you kind of have to just keep growing and evolving and learning and doing. And that's not to say that I do it right every day, because I don't, for sure. But yeah.
But I find that, and this is, was having a conversation with someone in the company that I respect and I worked for, like, he's kind of my go-to, same thing, like just someone I can talk to. We were talking about how, it's like, we are going to make mistakes every day. Like something's going to go not perfectly, right? Whether it's like something that you did or something that was out of your control, but it's like, I know that that's going to happen every day. So now I take it on like, okay, what lesson am I going to learn from this? And how am I going to grow? How is my character going to build from this? And just even recently I'm starting to hold myself accountable more too. Like I'm more willing to like admit like, yeah, I was wrong, or yeah, I didn't react appropriately, or yeah, you know what, maybe that was on me and I need to do something different. Where before I just could not admit if I was wrong or that I didn't do something perfectly. Like there was something there. It was just like so hard for me. Now it's like the opposite. Like if I do something wrong, I'm the first one to be like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
that was, I effed that one up.
Yeah.
But I feel like as we get older, like we tend to kind of also gain that kind of self-awareness and confidence of like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I mean, do you feel the same
for sure.
way?
There's definitely no perfection. 100%. There is no perfection in anything that I do, right? Like not in the work that I do, not in the mother that I am. I'm trying to be the perfect grandmother, which is, a wonderful, blessing that I feel like I get this do-over of this small human that I get to, impact, which is awesome. But yeah, there's no perfection. And I think I kind of love that, right? Because once something is perfected, it's just like, okay, well, that's done. Let's, move on from there. And I like the evolving, pieces of who I am now. And I'll be really, really frank. There's been times in my life that I really
I think I don't know if you muted yourself on accident, because no.
Did that go?
Okay.
There we go. I don't
there
know
we
what
go.
happened.
It's okay.
Yeah. So things evolve and things are supposed to evolve, right? The world spins the way that it does for a reason. And so I want to just keep moving with it and trying to be a better person than I was yesterday. And I do good because it makes me feel good. Right.
Yeah.
And I one of the things I had said to my girls when they were growing up is like, if you're having a crap day, like just go do something nice for somebody else, because it will absolutely change your whole day, right? It just makes you feel better. And when you can, do it anonymously, right? So they don't even know you're the person that's providing that impact, whether it's something, financially or otherwise. And so, yeah, I think, mentoring has just become this whole, it's just taken on a different persona than just, the one-on-one that you used to go into, whoever's office or whatever, or have a lunch, once a month. And there's nothing wrong with that type of mentoring either. I just think for me, it's just become so much more than that.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, and this is kind of because I'm in the social media space and marketing and putting yourself out there. And I try to do my best to do it in a way that is as like in the moment, raw and real, to kind of also help others realize like, hey, not everything is perfect and it is going to be curated in a certain way. So I try to kind of do that as well. And I gravitate towards people like that myself. Like for instance, I love Mel Robbins because she is someone that will just like pull out the phone in her car or like in her bedroom, and she'll have a thought and she'll have something that just kind of came to her head and she wants to share it. And she doesn't care that her kitchen's like a mess in the background. And there's something about that when you see people like that, it like gives you permission to be the same and not have to be perfect and put out content that's like that. So that's why I kind of try to emulate that as well, so that like I'm, I guess, mentoring other people to kind of do the same. And it might not be for everybody, and I totally get that. There are people that it's really difficult for them to be seen that way. Like they want to be perceived in a certain light, and that's okay too. But again, those aren't usually people I gravitate towards or that I want in my world, and that's okay as well. So that's kind of like how I guess my mentoring, kind of, in a way.
No, and I think you do it exceptionally well. I mean, I can tell you,
you.
that there has been any number of things that I have seen. I mean, there was one that you did, and I think you literally bonked your head or something on, and you didn't cut it out of whatever it was you're doing. And I'm like, I'm so glad she didn't cut that out, right? Because it tells you we make mistakes. We do it every day, right? And so why not just be real with all of the things that are happening and let people see that, because it lets other people know. And so you've done a remarkable job in that, of letting people know that, listen, I am who I am right now in this particular situation. I continue to grow and evolve, and I want to do that. But if I F it up, I just F it up, right? And like, everybody does it. So I love that about you. And, between you and Mike Farsi, I tell you, I'm just about to get ready to launch into some of the video stuff. I put one out this past weekend, and I wasn't in it. Just I did a little video of the front part of my house, and I have this great big pond, and there's all these ducks and longhorns and all this beautiful things that I get to look at, every single day, that inspires me. So that was really my first approach to video. And I'm like, I'll just turn the camera around. I'm like, yeah, no, not yet.
Hey, in due time, little by little. But I love that you're, slowly dipping your toe into it. And hey, at least you're kind of showing a little bit of your home, because I don't think people realize that you're like a farm girl.
Yeah, that's an understatement. People are like, what? And I'm like, listen, I live and breathe mortgage, right? It's something that's in my DNA. I've always done. But if you were around me on any weekend or after hours, I'm on a tractor, a mower, I'm shoveling something that doesn't smell good. Yeah.
But that says a lot about you too. And just like, and I think people forget that, right? Like if you just share that, people like, it automatically does change people's perspective about someone, because there's a lot about, says a lot about someone that's willing to shovel crap, that's willing to get on a tractor, that's, you know, all of those things. Like it's the same thing. I don't know. Do you follow Kayla Callender?
I love her.
Yeah, isn't she?
Basketball.
So she and I have met several times in person. She's such a one. She's just gorgeous inside and out. But I love that she shows like her and her rescue dog. She's out there playing basketball. She's on the lake. She's on a tractor, because I follow her Instagram. So she does a lot of stories. And I love that, because the reality of it is the perception, right? So she wasn't showcasing any of that. I'm sure most people would assume she was a certain way because of just how she looks and how she presents herself. And that's the reality of things. And then for her to be like, hey, I'm a country girl. Like I'm a farm girl. I'm willing to get in the dirt. I'm willing to be like, I love that. And I just feel like when people are willing to show that side of themselves and be like, I have different layers. I have different sides to me. You know, I'm multifaceted.
Yep.
I think that that's fantastic. So that's why I'm always like, people just share little things so we could just automatically get to know you a little bit better. I don't know. I'm just obsessed with people.
No, listen, I mean, that's the humanality of things, right? And it's why people follow, you know, professional athletes or, you know, famous people.
Yeah.
And they get one little, you know, glimpse of something into the real. I mean, here's a perfect example: Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Like, I am a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. Like I have been.
No, I'm a Chargers fan. I'm actually going to the Chargers Broncos game on Sunday. That's why I came out here when I did, was because of the Chargers game. So anyways, boo Chiefs. Okay, whatever. Keep going.
Yeah, I disagree on that one little thing, but you know, I've long been this like huge fan, and she has changed, you know, some things, right?
Yeah.
But it's made this human component of something that people follow in a whole completely, you know, different way. And I love that. And so, you know, like, listen, if, you know, that can happen in football, it can happen in mortgage. It can happen in, you know, real life everywhere. So yeah, I'm actually, so my Chiefs are, you know, they played Monday Night Football. So I have a bye week coming up this week, and I'm going to be in Kansas City this weekend, which I'm really bummed that they're not playing, because I thought, oh, this is going to be perfect. Wah, wah, wah. No
I
game.
know.
So
That's funny. Yeah, I was like so happy that we had a bye, because we're, you know, we've got some major injuries, and I was like, yeah, we needed that. So I'm excited for this Sunday. But yeah, see, I had no idea that you were a big football fan, and now the Chiefs. Now I can trash talk with you. Now we're going to really take our relationship to a whole nother level.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
No, that's great. Well, we are closing out on the half hour, and I want to be able to give you an opportunity to share like how people can reach out to you, and that you are looking for opportunities, and gave a little bit of like maybe an example of what it is that you're looking for, and who's to say that someone might know of something out there for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the easiest way to reach out to me right now is, you know, through my email, which is dana@lendingluminary.com. I kind of created my mortgage consulting name around really one that I feel like I've brought some illumination into the mortgage.
I love that. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful name.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And so I am doing and taking on all different types of consulting projects, everything from you know, working on, you know, small sales initiatives, building out playbooks. I do policies and procedures. Like there isn't a consulting thing that I haven't either taken on or wouldn't consider taking on. But, you know, from a full-time perspective, you know, I would really love to find a place that was looking for someone who wanted to finish out their career in a really big way, be impactful. You know, just in my DNA to be an entrepreneur within an entrepreneurial company. And that's in mortgage. Mortgage is, you know, what I've lived and breathed for 30 plus years now. And it's sales, compliance. Like I've run the gamut of every channel. It's unusual. Usually people pick a lane, right? And I've been so fortunate with the companies that I've worked for and with mentors like Robin, who have given me opportunities to sit in other seats that I never probably should have been sitting in, and really learned and, got my arms around something completely new. So yeah, I just want to have conversations with people, and it may not be for anything other than a collaboration, or, maybe I can give, a little tidbit of something to someone, or I know someone that is exactly the right fit for something. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll get to, meet in person.
I look forward to it, for sure.
It'll happen. It'll definitely happen.
Maybe in some like random, I always, it's funny, you have this vision. I'm like, I'm on the, on the people mover, like going through Houston or Newark or, somewhere. And all of a sudden there you are coming down. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And it's like that moment, everything slows down, slow motion, and we like run towards each other. Yeah, I did that with one of my colleagues that I hadn't met yet when we were in Florida. We did the whole like Instagram reel where it was like Celine Dion's Titanic in the background. Like, yeah, like it was so good. I'm gonna have to do something like that on Friday when I meet my boss, and she lives here in Fort Collins, and we're gonna meet for the first time in person. We're gonna do like a work lunch. We're already like, we got to do something fun for when we meet for the first time. So yeah, it'll be the same for us too. But I appreciate you willing to jump on when we haven't really had this type of one-on-one, conversations, willing to do it live. So I appreciate that.
For sure. Thank you for, thinking of me and asking me on, and for all you're doing, not just from a marketing perspective, but really just kind of advancing the whole social media space in a different way. There's people that are pioneers of things, and you should definitely consider yourself a pioneer in that regard. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. And I'm doing better about receiving compliments too, and just being like, thank you, and receiving it and taking it. So thank you so much. And thank you for everybody who tuned in, Bill, and those that are like on the replay. And we'll see you not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday with my next guest. Thank you, everyone. And remember,